Hello, everybody, and welcome to Whisper2Scream April 2019 first edition. My name is Bernard, and I am your host. So please tell a friend, tell a coworker, tell your cousin to check us out here on YouTube or at Facebook and Instagram at Coon Tunes number 2.
You're a Negro.
No.
I am your teacher. You are a Negro.
No.
Suppose I threatened to beat you, what would you say? Aren't you a Negro now?
No.
What are you?
I'm black and beautiful.
What is your nationality?
My nationality is Afro-American.
Suppose I had some money in my pocket. Suppose I gave you $1 to say that you're an American Negro. This is money now. Money talks. Money talks. This dollar. And if you don't say it, you don't get it. You're an American Negro, aren't you?
No.
You won't have any money. You know you need money, don't you?
Yeah.
You need money to live, don't you?
Yeah.
All right. All you have to say, Leon, is that you're an American Negro. Aren't you an American Negro? Are you an American Negro?
No.
What are you?
I'm black and beautiful.
What's your nationality?
My nationality is Afro-American.
Very good, man.
Well, there's been another lynching of a young black man here in America. This time it took place in Fort Wayne, Indiana. His name is Tamon Blair. He is an over-the-road truck driver based in his hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina. He was 21 years old. He was a 21-year-old father with a second child on the way. He was an A student in school. He was out here forging an income to support his growing family. He had his own tractor trailer, and that is where he was found hanging from a noose. His throat was slashed from ear to ear. He was almost completely decapitated. It appears he was first strangled with some sort of wire, then he was bound with his own pajamas. His leg was broken. His face was beaten black and blue. Obvious signs of a struggle. His hands were clenched in a fist behind his back. His next of kin was not immediately notified. The authorities did not perform an autopsy. Also, the front of his truck was bashed in. The case was closed without his family being notified. The local authorities refused to show his family the video. The same authorities claimed they hadn't watched it yet. This crime couldn't be manipulated, so the truth is out. There's a fact in Indiana where this took place. Indiana has 24 known white hate groups. Now, the working scenario is to always label these acts as suicide. There are other cases of lynchings. A 17-year-old young black man in Bladenburg, North Carolina, he was captain of the football team, was found dangling from a swing set in the center yard of a trailer camp in a white ghetto. Now, his body was covered with fire ants. His noose was a belt that was not his. Now, he left home that night wearing a size 12 Air Jordans, but his body was found with the size 10.5 Air Force Ones. Did I mention he had broken off a relationship with an older white woman who lived in the same trailer park? A black body hanged in the middle of a square, and no one saw a thing. Now, he was a son, a sibling, an integral part of a family, and his name was Lennon Lacey. Now, these kinds of groups who do these kinds of acts have always kept some souvenir of their ill deeds. Example, it was whites who first started scalping the so-called American Indians, and they were paid for each scalp they collected. Now later, these whites had to make sure the colored skin of the Indian was attached to the scalp for authentication. Is the noose the souvenir for these current atrocities? Now, some of you may be aware there was a lynching in Piedmont Park in Atlanta, Georgia. That's right in the middle of the city. It was ruled a suicide. There was another lynching where a young black man was hanging from an overpass rail near the black colleges in Atlanta. That's Spelman and Morehouse. in that area, and it was ruled a suicide. Again, in Atlanta, a young black woman was found hanging outside a Walmart in the Atlanta area. Now, the authorities said she was attached to a tree. Now, upon further inquiry, they repeated, she was attached to a tree. What does that mean? It was ruled a suicide. The police departments will not call these crimes lynchings. They label them suicides. Historically, only white supremacist groups have a history of lynching here in America. White supremacy is everywhere, including the police department, judges, and even Congress. These suicide cases are closed quickly, and there is usually no follow-up. And the public, especially the black and colored communities, are encouraged to go back to our everyday workaday lives and let well enough alone. After all, what are you going to do about it? Also, why does it seem to happen to young blacks who are progressive, who seem to want something out of life? Not so much to Boo-Boo Tinker in them. I wonder why that is. And these stories seldom sustain on mainstream media. Now, these lynchings did not happen during slavery or in the 1950s. These lynchings are happening right now. As always, be blessed and stay woke.